After uploading "Somebody Please Photograph This Place" to YouTube yesterday afternoon, I went to see that dainty fern glade near the crest of Taylor's Ridge. It's been hot and dry, so I wasn't expecting much. Here's what I found. The fern glade is in northwest Georgia's James H. Floyd State Park. I did a counterclockwise loop up the Jenkins Gap Trail, north along the Pinhoti Trail, and down the Marble Mine Trail and a connector back to the Jenkins Gap Trail and to the parking lot. The Jenkins Gap Trail includes a remarkably steep quarter-mile ascent to reach the crest of Taylor's Ridge. On the way up, I photographed this rock formation. In the deep woodland afternoon shade, it was nondescript, but in certain seasons, this vantage point lends itself to photography. At the end of the Jenkins Gap Trail, I turned left on the Pinhoti Trail for a half-mile along the ridge crest. This deadfall tree lies concealed in the shady woods, but in the winter season it stands out. After the half-mile on the Pinhoti, I turned left on the Marble Mine Trail and began descending gradually. Just before the fern glade, this partial view to the west through the Virginia pine canopy usually generates interesting photos that I like in every season. The glade of dainty ferns is about a quarter-mile down the Marble Mine Trail. The video I posted yesterday showed the ferns in every season, their foliage sometimes succulent and green and sometimes dry and brown. Seldom has it looked as dry as it did yesterday. This made it more difficult to find an interesting perspective, but I tried. In all, I took 22 photos here yesterday, but few had any real merit. Beyond the fern glade, the Marble Mine Trail continues easily downhill past this turn, where the trunk of a long dead pine and ground moss sometimes combine for good photos. The recent drought left it less appealing than usual, but sometimes it shines in the light. From here, the trail drops through a stretch shaded by chalk maples. This much photographed spot is especially striking in autumn when chalk maple leaves turn vividly burnt orange. Below the chalk maples, the trail begins to descend more sharply through rocky terrain. Midway down, there is an impressive basswood tree that I usually photograph vertically. This forest titan is lovely in every season, especially in the late afternoon sunshine. My final habitual photography focus on this loop hike is a slender arching red maple that turns different colors from year to year, sometimes ruby red, sometimes buttery yellow, sometimes burnt orange. This tree was the subject of my first YouTube post back in January 2023. From here, I take a white blazed side trail that reconnects to the Jenkins Gap Trail for the final stretch back to the parking lot. In all, this loop covers about 2.5 to 3 miles, and my hikes usually take about 2 hours. Hiking counterclockwise involves the very steep and strenuous ascent of Taylor's Ridge. Clockwise, the hike ascends more gradually, but the descent is a doozy. Thank you for watching this Georgia Backroads program.